सकती हूँ सबब में लोगों से प्यार करने की सा
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this first formal press conference hosted by His Excellency President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali. Since his return to office, following a landslide victory achieved by the People's Progressive Party Civic at the September 1st general and regional elections. Members of the public and of the media will be aware that President Ali has outlined an aggressive, ambitious agenda for transformation of our country for the next 5 years. This agenda is articulated in detail in the PPPC's manifesto, which you can find, of course, online, which was launched before the recent election, as well as His Excellency's inaugural address, delivered on the lawns of State House on September 7th. His Excellency and his government have already started working, as you would know already. And the work is already picking up, and so His Excellency, of course, is wasting no time. Before I pass the mic to Kit to take us through this press conference, I'd like to address something. I have noted a public post by the editor of Starbuck News, Mr. Anand Prasad, claiming that an invitation to attend His Excellency's press conference today was not sent to accredited media. I'd like to state explicitly that this is false. A call was placed to Starbuck News' accredited representative, Ms. Marcel Fowler, at 11:02 this morning, along with a written follow-up at 2:30 this afternoon. And I also want to state explicitly that every person sitting in this room also received a phone call from me. With that said, I'd like to now pass the microphone over to Mr. Kit Nascimento, who will guide us through this press conference before you hear from His Excellency.
Thank you very much. Just to let our public know, as I advised you earlier on, we will take roughly 6 questions. If the President allows me, I might tolerate a 7th one. It is 1 question, there will be no follow-ups, and I will begin with Kurt Campbell.
Before you begin,
Sorry.
I would like to say a few things. First of all, let me thank the media for your presence. As you're aware, we have a very hectic and transformative agenda for Guyana. And we have started the work on implementing this agenda that will see remarkable transformation in our country from an infrastructural perspective, which is a physical perspective, from an economic perspective. But importantly, the government is focusing heavily from a service orientation perspective. That is the efficiency, reliability of government services, the removal of bureaucracy, the ensuring that we reduce costs in doing business, all of which will improve the competitiveness of our country. So I am very pleased this afternoon to go through some of the things that we are accelerating on in this phase of transformation. There are also some issues that are of a global nature that I think we must address also today. As you're aware, during the campaign in the last 5 years, we made it very clear that we have to do something about our city. The condition of our city, the mismanagement and inefficiency through which the city is managed can no longer be tolerated. And we believe that it is time for us as citizens and as a country to take charge of this situation. And I want to launch from the government work in advancing the rescue of Georgetown. Let me say that it is my opinion that in the coming year or years, we'll have an opportunity once again to choose a type of leadership in the city that will allow us to see this city transformed and managed in a way that will make all of us extremely proud. Notwithstanding that, we have launched, with the help of the King's Foundation, a city revival plan that we are now going to move forward in implementing. As you know, the government over the last 5 years has spent billions of dollars in infrastructure work in the city, including drainage, roads, parapets, cleaning up the city. And the city, Georgetown City, is a life heart of our country. It's the capital of our country. And we want to ensure that the city projects an image of sustainability, celebrating our heritage, showcase our inclusion, our economic transformation, and the cultural heritage of our country. Therefore, we are advancing a national strategy for sustainable urban development, first of which is focused heavily on the city itself. Implementation begins in Georgetown and its surrounding region, the country's largest urban area, where major investments since 2020 have included highways, drainage upgrades, and a high-span bridge over the Demerara River. These efforts are helping to drive economic growth, improve quality of life, and are complemented by the large-scale expansion of service housing lots to meet growing demand. The First Lady has also spearheaded a movement to enhance both urban and rural landscapes, giving rise to cleaner, greener, and more pleasing environments. In support of the urban development framework and a wider vision for Georgetown set out in the Low Carbon Development Strategy 2030, 15 flagship demonstration projects are to be advanced. Projects such as development of recreational spaces, the enhancement of places of architectural heritage, the inclusion of biodiversity and celebration of our biodiversity in the city itself, and a series of educational programs that would be aimed at behavioral change and public education on the way we treat the city, on our own behavior within the city itself. The Urban Framework Plan identifies 5 essential qualities that defines the city identity, qualities that must inform future development: the Garden City, landscape, and biodiversity. Indeed, this is the identity of the city in this region and across the world. We therefore are going to work aggressively on ensuring that this identity is recreated, is expanded, and that our city tells a story of this identity. The story of Georgetown history, heritage, and built environment. The city's architecture reflects the history, the heritage, and the built environment. Therefore, we will be pursuing a number of initiatives, including the walking trail around the city, looking, for example, at the old transport building, the train station, and rehabilitating that area into a museum, also having it doing exactly what it's doing now, that is training young people in machining, engineering, and offering that service to the Transport and Harbors Department. In addition to this program, as you know, we spoke about the Stabroek waterfront development. That is another area that would see immediate work. For a matter of fact, over the last 48 hours, we have reviewed a number of reports and design options on the Stabroek waterfront development, the improvement of the markets, enhancement of shopping areas and other public areas. So the waterfront celebrates who we are, the land of many waters. This plan involved embracing the waterways, Georgetown historic drainage canals, our core infrastructure, supporting both flood management and the city's unique landscape. Therefore, we will be working on the enhancement of all of these drainage canals in a touristic manner, so that it forms part of the story that we want to be told about Guyana and the city itself. The country founded on villages, community, and self-governance, rooted in a history of indigenous and post-slavery village system. Georgetown's civic life is shaped by strong traditions of local planning and communal values. That is celebrating our culture, celebrating our art in the city itself. So you would see, for example, in the Lamaha enhancement, which is the railway courtyard, in a few months, as you walk through the entirety of this courtyard and the enhancement there on the old railway embankment, you'll be walking through the history of Guyana, told in pictures and images. So our school children, visitors, and everyone would have an opportunity to walk through the history of our country in images and pictures. Now, important is that the LCDS is what underpins all of these plans, celebrating who we are in a low-carbon development framework, which means reinforcing the values of harmony, sustainability, and inclusive development. The draft urban framework plan identifies a few priorities to protect the city's character while enabling sustainable growth. Deliver housing, infrastructure, and communities for growth, reduce traffic congestion, and promote sustainable transport, protect and enhance heritage, identity, and character, improve sanitation, cleanliness, and waste management, build resilience to flooding, heat, and climate events, restore urban landscape and green space, and enhance experience and support sustainable tourism. To achieve this, there are 5 thematic clusters or areas that we'll be working on. The strategic urban expansion. As you know, the city is self-expanding itself. The green infrastructure and connectivity framework, which includes creating greenways, tree corridors, climate-resilient transport links, and public realm upgrades. Historic civic core revitalization, which is restoring and reimagining central landmarks such as Stabrook Market, Water Street, and its transport and harbors development site. Agro-integrated growth zones, blending agriculture and urban development to support food security, innovation, and low-carbon enterprise. And the natural and cultural heritage anchors, ensuring that nature, culture, and identity remain central to Georgetown's future. So these are some of the plans that we will be activating in an aggressive manner as we work on rescuing Georgetown and positioning Georgetown as one of the finest capital cities in the world. Outside of Georgetown, of course, we have plans coming on stream for the Outer Georgetown Demonstration Zone, which is a new low-carbon market town located southeast of historical capital, piloting a replicable model for sustainable urban growth near the city core. The Silica City Master Plan implementation, the Georgetown Transportation Strategy. So I am pleased to say that we are now progressing with a clearly defined plan for the city, the private sector, and every stakeholder, of course, the main city council, and every stakeholder would be part of advancing these plans. Our education system, the Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, all would play a critical role in advancing this transformation of our city. And I believe it is necessary at this very first press conference to clearly define the work that we are going to embrace on rescuing and rebuilding our city. Now, the second issue I want to address is that of agro-business development. As you're all aware, we have said very clearly that agro-business opportunity, food security and agriculture is not only going to be a priority of the government, but it will be an area for investment opportunities. And we have to create, through the infrastructure we invest in and through the type of partnership we build, this ecosystem to support the business and economic opportunities out of the agro-business development hub. As you know, we are positioning ourselves as a regional food production and logistics hub for the Caribbean, linking South American supply to Caribbean demand, partnering with northern Brazil in Roraima and the Dominican Republic are central to achieving these objectives. There are some strategic infrastructure projects that we must pursue, as you all know, in advancing our competitiveness. However, I wish to say that today, that over the last couple of days, we have put together a team comprising of stakeholders in the agriculture sector, the private sector itself, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, and investment bankers to work with northern Brazil, the state of Roraima, on technology transfer and co-investment opportunities as we build out this ecosystem to support the agro-business development hub. As you're aware, we already have with the US an ongoing project with Bloomberg Grains where they're building out their regional food hub. So the ecosystem and investment to add value to the production chain is now critical as we position ourselves to be a major food exporter in the region itself. We also want to work with mega farms, co-invest with mega farms, with our local agricultural sector so we can accelerate our production. We're looking at 100,000 hectares of land to be converted into large-scale mega farms, looking at corn, soybean, coconut, spices, cocoa. All of this we have been able to advance in the last week. We have put together a team, and within the next 4 weeks, a clearly defined investment model and a clearly defined integration between Dominican Republic and Roraima will be arrived at so that we can accelerate the investment and development of this very key sector. I want to reiterate that whilst the government is creating an enabling environment and supporting our agricultural sector with the investment in infrastructure and technology, that we want this to be heavily private sector driven. And we want to see the co-investment opportunity between major players in the regional and global market and our private sector itself. One of the opportunities that is being accelerated is the emerging opportunity in large-scale cocoa production in the Pomeroon, where we want to convert not only the Pomeroon, but the Pomeroon and Region 1. Also the resuscitation of the coffee industry. So that's the second issue that I wanted to advance. The third is the improvement in our healthcare system from a service delivery perspective. As you know, we have to move our healthcare system to a more service-oriented care system. We have invested heavily in infrastructure, in the modernization of the healthcare system, in the building out of our human capital. So the focus now must be on service delivery, on reliability, on ensuring that our citizens receive the type of care that we've invested in for them to receive in building out this world-class health service. To begin with, the material management unit and our regional bonds, they are now being upgraded and updated. For a matter of fact, we have secured the service of Ernst & Young, who are looking at the policy and procedure development, which is the establishment of a supply chain policy and practice based on leading standards. This work is ongoing, and we hope that the first phase, which is to have the MMU system itself going live, would be within the first quarter of 2026. And within the second and third quarter of 2026, it will be fully integrated into a regional distribution system. The system would have visible alerts on low stock level. AI will be built into the system to help in the management and distribution of medical supplies and drugs across every single region, with a level of automation that would improve efficiency, enhance delivery, reduce spoilage and expiry of drugs and other supplies, and improve the overall system so that our citizens can benefit. It will also bring us in compliance with the best global standards. Now, we have already commenced the construction of regional bonds in Region 1, 2, 6, 9, and 10. That will be the physical infrastructure to to support this digitization and technological advancement in managing the material management unit of the Ministry of Health across every region in Guyana. Now, the second aspect of the work in modernizing the healthcare system is the electronic patient health record system. The initial phase of this project involves digitizing the records of all patients at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. Work commenced in March of 2025 and is expected to conclude by mid-2026. Patients' records at the Georgetown Hospital are expected to go live by the end of the first quarter in 2026, and then this will be rolled out across the country. In addition, the Ministry of Health would have launched a pilot online appointment system at the Festival City Polyclinic. This is a system on the testing. As you know, we don't want the lines that you see in the hospitals and clinics. So we want to move the system into an app-based system where you have appointments so you don't have to waste your time or sit at these clinics for hours. So this pilot is being tested at Festival City Polyclinic, and we are anticipating that it will be fully implemented at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation within the first quarter of 2026, and then in all other regional hospitals and clinics across the country. The phase 2 of the program will see the 6 new regional hospitals connected to the system, as I said, by the second or third quarter of 2026. Outside of this, the One Health project, which is a $15 million project, is being implemented, and the aim of this is to enhance our diseases surveillance, enhance our laboratory system to a level 3 system, and to enhance our human resource capacity through recruitment and training in pandemic preparedness. This is a major challenge globally, and every country now is ensuring they have the system of surveillance, the lab to support surveillance, and the human capital in preparing national health systems to respond to identify and respond effectively to pandemic, to be prepared. And we are not waiting. We are already investing in this system. As you know, the expansion in our healthcare system continues. Over the last 3 years, 25 new health centers and health posts have been added. This year, we have 10 new facilities under construction. At each health center, we'll aim to deliver a minimum of 116 different health interventions, including those for non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. We want to ensure that we invest heavily in primary health care, preventative medicine, through public education, early screening, early access to lab facilities and testing, so that we can have not only an effective primary healthcare system that protect persons or reduces the risk that we have in terms of the type of diseases that we have now, but also ensuring that the next generation of Guyanese who are coming up, that from a very early age, we have enough data, enough screening to support a long and healthy life among those persons. the next generation of Guyanese. So to do this, we have the school health program, which will see the screening of all children in nursery, primary, and secondary schools. We have the women's health program, which will expand the breast cancer screening program, and is now offered at Georgetown Hospital. It's offered in Linden, New Amsterdam, Saudi, and Lethem. In all of these areas now we have the capacity and capability. And we have the expanded program for cervical cancer, including HPV vaccination, using Gardasil 9, HPV testing, and treatment. So I want to make this very clear. We are also investing in the treatment. We have advanced talks during the last week on pushing forward the oncology center and to find the right formula and to see the private sector interest also in supporting this initiative. As you know, we have spoke heavily about dialysis. Currently, the government of Guyana assists hundreds of patients every year who require dialysis with a $600,000 grant. During our consultation in the manifesto and with a body that has been formed to support dialysis patients, it was brought to our attention that there is need for more public dialysis stations because the private ones, as we increase the grant, are also increasing the costs per session. So we have added dialysis stations in every one of the new 6 hospitals. But in addition to that, I'm pleased to announce that before the end of this year, we'll have 15 new dialysis units operational in regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10. So before the end of this year, they will have 15 additional stations in our public care system. So I think that is also a tremendous improvement that we are advancing in the early days of our government. Now, another issue that I want to address is that of the Guyana Power and Light. As you know, we need to make enormous investments in the smart grid transformation. And these investments, of course, require technical expertise and support. Now, GPL has outlined a number of major projects that we must invest in building out a full-scale smart grid, which includes the transmission and distribution expansion, the construction of approximately 155 kilometers of double-circuit transmission lines, 343 kilometers of primary distribution lines across region 3, 4, 5, and 6. This, if you have to invest in, is a budgeted cost of more than $400 million US. The building out of substations and upgrading of existing substations in Georgetown, Garden of Eden, Kingston, Unverwacht, Edinburgh, Good Hope, Columbia, with smart distribution equipment to support grid automation and reliability at a approximate cost of more than $300 million. Of course, we have the river crossing underground cable, as you know, from time to time because of the draft of the river and how busy the Demra River has become. We have issues in terms of the underground cable between Freedom Hoop and Kingston substation. So we will have to, GPL would have to invest in ensuring that that cable is protected and deep enough to ensure is not disrupted or disturbed given the current use and expanded use of the Demerara River. The gas to energy project, we had a full assessment of this project in the first week. From the news, you would have seen the Prime Minister visiting. The advanced metering infrastructure, the National Control Center, the interconnection with Linden, and that is the expansion of the network to interconnect with Linden, with the Demerara-Berbice interconnected system, and also the construction of distribution substations at Bamia, Mackenzie, and Wismar in Linden. Of course, you know the development on the Linden-Soesdijk Highway requires also investment, and we are now investing. GPL is now finalizing the plan for the investment in the transmission and distribution network across the Linden-Soesdijk Highway. The smart equipment rollout, the installation of the smart meters for all customers, smart switches, automated reclosers, fault indicators. All of this is not only to enhance quality, but to reduce line losses, to reduce leakages in the system, and to enhance the efficiency and reliability of the system itself. GPL is also in the process of finalizing arrangement, as you know, to implement all of this project, given the current supervision costs that we pay consultant. It's, from their estimation, it's over $40 million to implement this entire program. They're trying to complete negotiations with InterEnergy for a 2-year program that will only cost $15 million that would help in the supervision of all of these projects, plus the modernization of the management system and a total overhaul of the system itself to enhance efficiency and reliability. So therefore seeing great cost savings as they work towards finalizing the technical advisory support and supervision, helping in project management, oversight, contract management, the smart grid integration, capacity building, and reporting. So all of this investment and the partnership will modernize Guyana's electricity infrastructure to international standards, enhance energy security, reliability, and resilience, enable cost-effective integration of renewables and advanced technologies, support national economic growth, industrialization, and environmental sustainability. I also want to say that given the plans that we have, when you look at what we want to achieve from a manufacturing, industrial, technological perspective in terms of data centers and the type of energy demand, it is clear that we will have to accelerate work on the second power plant and then work on the new gas project to Berbice so that we can ramp up energy production if we want to be that energy hub in the region itself and be the energy capital to attract investments and investors that would expand our economic base, create jobs and opportunities for our private sector and people here. Part of enhancing the experience of persons coming into our country and even our own Guyanese is the border control and e-gate system and e-passport issuance system. As you know, we have to be compliant with international standard from a security perspective, from a technology perspective, so that our documents are secured. And you've seen that we have been gaining places globally in terms of our passport recognition. And all of this have to do also with the safety mechanism and system that support our border control, our e-gate system. And we have to ensure that our system is rigid and strong enough to identify threats and to in a proactive way, give information to deal with those threats. So the border control and engage system went live in January, while the e-passport issuance system went live in February of this year. The new border system has resulted in improved security at the airports and border crossings and assured accuracy and reliability in the verification of the traveler, using state-of-the-art technology and rigorous processes aligned with International Civil Aviation Organization standards. The e-passport provides the Guyanese citizen with a next-generation travel document full of advanced security feature and functionalities to facilitate safer and more efficient international travel. Currently, the online passport application portal is in the final stage of development and is expected to go live before the end of this year. We are hoping, not hoping, this system would eliminate the lines that you see at the passport office. We'll have a decentralized system where appointments are booked online and you will go to the nearest service center to you. And on that topic also, we are now creating service centers in every region to have an integrated office where citizens can go and have any government services dealt with at that office. So they don't have to come to the capital, the ease of doing business, a great efficiency in the use of time, and at the same time, we are graduating all of the service to a digital platform. Now, the public service digitization and government efficiency system. As you know, a few days ago, I held a meeting with all the IT heads and outlined the digital transformation plan aimed at fully digitalizing all government services before the end of the second quarter in 2026. I have announced the appointment of the Chief Technology Officer, who will be supported by the NDMA to manage the digitization process and to implement a digital platform to monitor and track key performance indicators for government agencies, ensuring greater transparency, accountability, and efficiency. The National Digitization Initiative will be driven by strategic focus on digital infrastructure, artificial intelligence, cross-agency collaboration, and integration of ICT systems, so that we will have a common framework, a common system that is speaking to each other, that is integrated, that reduces the time to do business, that improves transparency, and this is across all agencies, including the security agency, the way in which you get a security clearance, the way in which you get your birth certificate, the way in which persons apply for a death certificate. All of these systems are actively being migrated on a digital platform. So, commencing this week, a survey is being conducted to gather information on the current state of digitization, not only in the government, but across the private sector, because the private sector will need to also advance at a similar pace in this digital framework. So we have to have a thorough understanding as to what is happening in the private sector also, and how we ensure that in creating this digital space, we have every citizen owning a bank account, for example. And we are moving on a number of options in dealing with this matter, so that if every citizen have their bank account, then the education around using your digital cards, your plastic cards, rather than checks and moving money, which makes it more transparent, easier to track and everything, becomes the gateway of creating fintech opportunities in our country. Now, I have been talking a lot so far about government efficiency. Maybe I'll just let me speak about a few more before I address an issue concerning our farmers. As you know, we introduced free university education. As a result of this announcement, which removed financial burden and barriers, making higher education more accessible to all Guyanese. And as we anticipated, applications have doubled at the University of Guyana, particularly in high demand areas such as medicine and engineering. To meet this demand and ease pressure on the Turkine campus, we are working on launching in the coming weeks programs across different regions. While medicine and engineering are the immediate focus, an assessment is being carried out on all other programs at the university. So, we have, in the last couple of days, determined that in medicine, we are ready to implement a rollout in Region 6, creating 30 seats for the study of medicine at the New Amsterdam Regional Hospital. Of course, when the new hospital is completed and we expand the infrastructure, we'll be able to increase those seats in Region 6 based on the demand. We have already identified the academic staff to support this program in Region 6, and of course, it will be supported by the Berbice campus. They are now doing the final assessment in Region 6 to ensure that the furniture, the administrative mechanism, the lab equipment, and IT connectivity are in place to operationalize this before the end of the year. In Region 3, we have identified the teaching space, and as I speak to you, gap analysis in terms of lab and staff required to support the seats in medicine Region 6 is being conducted to operationalize more seats in medicine in Region 3 before the end of the year. The same exercise is being conducted in Region 2 and 9, where we hope to expand in different areas of medicine. Just for you to have an understanding, we had 418 applications in medicine, more than 130 qualified. The seats that we had was 60. Of course, we had invested in 50 additional seats in Turkine, bringing it to an intake of 110. And with the readiness of Region 6, that's another 30, taking it to 140. So you had 130 qualified, and we'll have 140 seats ready that will meet the needs of those qualified. In engineering, in mechanical engineering, all applicants can be accommodated this year at the University of Guyana. In civil engineering, we have 241 students admitted. 50 qualified applicants remain to be admitted, and we have been able to put systems in place to create 30 seats in Region 3, 30 seats in Region 6, and 30 seats in Region 2 for the study of different disciplines in the engineering faculty of the University of Guyana in these 3 regions. So that would allow students to study closer to home, more comfortable environment, and of course reducing their costs of transport and make more productive use of their time. So another important issue that the population has spoken about, especially in our manifesto consultation, was the modernization of our financial sector, which includes improved and easier access to banking services and the promotion of digital payment systems. I have tasked a team which includes the Ministry of Finance, the Bank of Guyana, the banking sector, to identify the gaps in the financial sector and develop an action plan to address these gaps. The team has been tasked with submitting to me this plan within 4 weeks. And they'll be looking at making it easier for persons to open a bank account in terms of simplifying the documentary requirements, making borrowing easier by reducing the documentary requirements, especially from new businesses, encouraging more lending using movable assets, for which the legal framework has been established. The registry is yet to be operational to facilitate this, and I've given instructions that steps be taken to ensure the registry becomes operational. Most importantly, promoting more electronic transaction via online banking, faster payment system, and other electronic means, ensuring every Guyanese can have a bank account, and ensuring that every Guyanese, at the end of this whole modernization, can conduct a financial transaction within minutes from wherever they are. I've also established a team, as you know. We spoke about a SME development bank. You will recall that we have committed in our manifesto to establish an SME development bank, which will provide financing to small businesses at zero interest with incremental collateral requirement. So a team has been established in order for us to accelerate on this commitment. I have established a group of experts to develop an appropriate model for this bank, taking account of global experiences of similar initiative. Their work will comprise of reviewing global experiences with establishing SME development financing institutions, outlining the legal framework or context within which the institution will be established, defining the institutional, administrative, and financial structures that will be needed to support this initiative. The team is expected to report back to me within 6 weeks. As you know, successive PPP civic governments have ensured the establishment of an open, transparent, competitive public procurement system. But over the years, the sheer volume of procurement transactions that we now process and the scale and scope of our agenda for transformation are exerting new demands on the system. Our objectives are maintaining the open, transparent, competitive system with the highest standards of accountability, whilst at the same time promoting the emergence of a wider pool of suppliers of goods and services to government by facilitating new entrants and creating opportunities for new and small businesses. In this regard, I've established a team to commence work on defining reforms needed to the procurement system to achieve these very objectives. The team will examine any legal and regulatory changes needed, and as well as administrative and technological changes that would be needed to support the realization of these objectives. The team is expected to report back to me by before the end of this year. The system would look also at a tier system of procurement. Dealing with services, again, one of the main issues in communities is that of solid waste management, garbage disposal, landfill sites. I have tasked the ministries with a stakeholder to immediately come up with an action plan. As you know, we have 14 landfill sites across the country. They have all outgrown their capacity. They have all outgrown their capacity. Therefore, we need the development of new sites, the identification of land, getting the environmental permits and clearance, and then building out these sites in a modern way. Looking at value creation, that is how we can create value out of waste. We have a number of proposals that the team will be examining. Looking at new facilities, where these new facilities are needed, with emphasis, of course, on Region 2, 3, 7, 10, and 4, 6 also. And within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll have a comprehensive report and a strategy on how we tackle this issue of sanitation, garbage disposal. Important to this also, and specific emphasis must be on public education, looking at public spaces, markets, and building a communication strategy that will change mindset, that will change behavior, and would allow us to act with responsibility when it comes to protecting our environment. All of this is key as we build out a world-class tourism sector. This brings me to the issue of the digital identity card. As you know, we will have a citizen card and a resident card, so that everyone who is in Guyana has to have one of these electronic ID card that is key for security management, management of work permits, management of service delivery, financial tracking, and for security purposes also. This card will also be interlinked with our healthcare system so that basic health records can be easily accessible. The program will complete the following objectives: provide every citizen with a secure, tamper-proof digital identity card, enable trusted digital verification for government and private sector services, replace paper-based identity process with digital solution, Guyana unique identification number, a single lifelong identity number for every citizen, EID card, smart card with biometric, and PKI-enabled security features. That's a public key infrastructure, which is the PKI, ensures secure authentication and digital signatures. As you know, this is where the world is going. If we are to be competitive and if we are to be relevant, this is where we have to go. I'm very pleased to say that the process is ready to deliver these cards to citizens. For a matter of fact, the first card has been successfully delivered to the president. So we are now moving towards, in the next 2 weeks, to have all systems ready and to have a national scale implementation, the establishment of regional offices, so that we can accelerate the distribution of this card, which is a residency card, a citizen card. Of course, we must again emphasize the need of public awareness, public education in this initiative, because we want to ensure that the population is aware and there's a strategy where people would ensure that they get to these cards. Now, as you know, we have another exciting rice crop ahead of us, but the international market and international prices is not as exciting as the production itself. So I wanted to give some amount of information on what is happening in relation to the global market. Now, when you look at the rice production globally, is at an all-time high, with major producers, exporters such as India, Vietnam, and Brazil having record levels of production. Not only record levels of production, but record level of stockpile. So they have to get the stockpile onto the market. Causing a glut, this would have caused a glut in the world market. As a consequence of that, we have seen low prices. We have seen falling prices. A weighted average of global white rice export quotas ended the month of August at $415 per ton, and this is down $14 per ton from a month ago and $228 per ton from a year ago. So that is a global environment. Notwithstanding this, the government of Guyana, as you know, has supported the rice sector enormously. Recently, we had $2 billion of price support to farmers, which ensured farmers receive a price of $4,000 per bag. We provided farmers with $3.6 billion in fertilizer, flood relief, and seed paddy assistance. We launched the crop insurance program. We removed the VAT and duties on machinery and equipment, agrochemicals, fertilizers, and pesticide. We negotiated a settlement of the Panama payment of $1.5 billion. And importantly, we, in 2025, remove the GRDB commission to zero rated sales commission with effect from March 4th. Now, that tells you that when you look at it, we have, whilst we are looking at ways in which we'll confront this challenge, we have exhausted many of the tools available to assist farmers and millers. Nonetheless, today, the Minister of Finance and Agriculture had a meeting with millers. They're expected to meet again later this week, and then to have meeting with farmers across the different regions for us to come up together with ideas to ease the impact and the burden of this, of the falling global prices, the glut on the market, and the record level of stockpile, so that our farmers, the burden can be minimized on our farmers. To add to this, of course, the good news, if you want to put it that way, is that the second crop is projected at, we've cultivated 209,000 plus acres with an average yield of 40 bags per acre, and the estimated rice production is in excess of 8.3 million bags. As I said to you, these record production level also brings the challenge of having not only markets, but decent markets for our farmers, both in the EU, Latin America, and CARICOM region. So during the course of this week, we'll continue the engagement with millers and rice farmers as we try to find additional measures through which we can support our farmers. You'll recall also that we were able to successfully negotiate crop insurance for our rice farmers. Today, 69.4% of our farmers are successfully registered. In addition to that, 10 weather stations are expected to arrive in Guyana by mid-October, This would help our farmers to better predict weather patterns and to have data and information that will help them in terms of their crop production. So this is a development that we are tracking. We know that our farmers are anxious, but I want to assure them that the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, and the Minister of Public Service, Government Efficiency and Implementation will be coordinating meetings as we work together to find solutions on these matters that in which we are affected by externalities. But that is the world we live in, and those are some of the challenges that we have to overcome as countries. So I just wanted to take this time this afternoon to update you on these initiatives. Of course, when I leave you, we continue to work on other initiatives, but I wanted to update you on these initiatives as we accelerate our work on transforming our country and building a service-oriented system for every Guyanese. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. What the President has done is he's outlined an extensive action agenda with maximum citizen involvement, public education and awareness. And he has set out the global challenges the country faces. So I hope that you will direct your questions to that agenda as much as possible. We will take between 6, at most 7 questions, and we will begin with Kurt Campbell of Newsroom.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, I want to take you back to the first topic you addressed, the rescue of Georgetown. You spoke about the city revival plan. Just to ask if there is a overall cost for that endeavor. What is the timeline or phases of implementation? I know you spoke about the LCDS and how it underpins that plan, but also if you could also give some clarity on the King's Foundation exact role in all of this. And you spoke about future leadership, but also how do you work with the current leadership as you implement this plan?
Listen, we have to work with every Guyanese, as inefficient as they are, because our focus is not on individuals. Our focus is on the people. And the people of Georgetown are important to us. The users of the city is important for us, and the image of our capital city is important for us. That is why over the last 5 years, we've invested heavily on the infrastructure. You know this. We have spent billions of dollars on keeping the city clean, investing in roads, investing in drainage, putting in those pumping stations to ensure that as far as possible, we keep our city dry during heavy rainfall. We have seen the success of this program, our drainage program, in the last series of heavy rainfall. So it's not new. This is a continuation of investment. You've seen us building new highways to ease the traffic congestion, putting in roundabouts, enhancing the look of our city. We have launched the program to rehabilitate the botanical gardens and to upgrade our zoo. We have seen work on a re-engineering of the street walks and sidewalks. And all of this is important also in boosting and supporting private sector investment because of, the private sector is investing heavily in the city also, new hotels, restaurants, new buildings, office complex. And then you have the natural expansion of the city. You see what is going on at Ogle. We have new hotels coming there, the interconnectivity of the highway, the Aubrey Barker Road going now and connecting to the new highways. So we have been spending massively all the time in this transformation. But it's now going to that next phase of enhancement, beautification, structural improvement, heritage, culture. And the King's Foundation is helping us in an advisory role. They have done this. They have built their estate of harmony. And we are having tremendous support from them, which we are very grateful for. This is their forte. They have great experience in this. So we have opened up ourselves for advice and to accelerate this program of development. So that is important for us. The budget is an ongoing process. You know, it comes from the national budget. So at budget time, you will see what we're investing in the city. It will be budgeted for and part of the investment program, but it's going to cost a lot of money. We also want to see how we can maximize private sector participation. So for example, we have just had a meeting in which we said we'll go out for a public expression of interest in relation to the waterfront development in Stabroek and in Freedom Hoop to see how what private sector appetite is there and what is it for in the redevelopment of these key areas. Thank you.
Ignite News, I think, Utama Bell.
Yes. Well, my question was already extensively answered by Mr. President. It was, what are some of the major immediate developmental plans that government is presently seeking to undertake? So I'll pass the mic on to anyone else who wishes
Where
to
though,
ask.
in the city?
The
Or
entire,
nationally?
nationally.
Oh, we'll take all day. I'll address, I promise you, we'll have a specific session dealing with the infrastructure transformation, because I have to tell you about the Barbies River Bridge, the Kurpukari Bridge, where we are moving the new Demra River Bridge to, the tens of thousands of acres of new lands that we have to open up for housing, the road connectivity, connecting all of the new regions, going to Purika, the Goshen Road, looking at this Sand Hills Road, the opening up of new housing areas on the highway, Silicon City, going to the Deepwater Port in Barbies, the Quarantine River Bridge, the integration of the ferry service to enhance travelers' experience efficiency. So it's a massive transport integration plan that we will have a specific session on.
Guyana Chronicle, Navinda.
Yes, Mr. President, on the first topic, in pursuing the transformation of the city, aside from public education, would we see stricter penalties in place to hold persons accountable for the destruction of property and even, I would say, not minor, but littering and so on,
Yeah,
those
so
types of delinquents?
Enforcement will be a critical part of the strategy, but we have to first build the infrastructure whilst you do some amount of enforcement. But we have to have a phased approach, the soft, medium, hard, and then the hard approach. So it's a phased approach with a lot of enforcement up front also, but public education at this phase. I think a lot of public education, a clear communication strategy is critical in this, at this stage.
The Guyana Standard, Kiana Milberg.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. In your opening remarks, you spoke about the plans ahead to implement a very ambitious infrastructural program. But can you say what role the new Minister of Public Service, but also Implementation and Efficiency, will play in ensuring that the building out or rolling out of this entire plan is not going to have any lapses? And can you also at the same time say what powers the minister is going to have to address any shortcomings in rolling out the plan that you have outlined?
Well, as you know, Minister Zulfi Ali comes with tremendous experience from a project management background, a diplomatic background, and he's highly efficient in every phase of service that he has offered to government. He's not only in charge of public service, but as you rightfully said, government efficiency and implementation. And you know the speed of the agenda that we're pursuing, and the fact that we want government to be service-oriented and create a service platform in delivering that efficient, reliable, customer-friendly service, whilst at the same time advancing the rapid transformation. That is why he's the Minister of Government Efficiency and Implementation also, and he'll be taking directive from the President. So he'll be following through on a lot of what the plans are. You know, we have some very ambitious plans, so he'll be following through to ensure that timelines are kept and that we are not missing timelines and the plans and programs are realized.
On the issue of agriculture, just for clarity's sake.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you. You spoke about the challenges on the global market where the rice industry
Yes.
is concerned. And I'm curious for my own understanding and that of the public as well, what challenges this would present for our farmers who are expecting to break another record for production? Do you foresee challenges in stockpiling? And do you foresee, in order to contain the situation at home, for us to perhaps scale back a bit on our own production?
I don't think we can scale back. I believe that we have to add value, and that is why we have to build out an agro-ecosystem, a business system. We have to find ways in which we create higher value for our rice. We have to invest in storage, because when you want to play in a big game and have increased production, you have to have storage capacity, and also market forces are there. If you have a shortfall or oversupply, market forces will play every day. That's a fact of life. Now, how we manage our production system and the type of investment we make, so that we have to have some amount of stockpiling capacity and capability to do, and we're building that out in every single region. That is part of our plan. We have to add value, create greater local use of the rice here also, in a way that it adds value to other products, and we are working on a strategy surrounding that. We have to look at our trade agreements and to maximize the markets that we can have the best price in, and to look at how we can expand those trade agreements. That is why trade arrangements are important, and to see how we can maximize that. So those are important things also in the equation of rice. And we also have other commodities. You know, agriculture all over the world requires a lot of government investment, government support, government infrastructure. Access to financing, credit facilities, these are all things that are linked to the survival of the industry, the millers and the farmers. And those are things that we have to address in a comprehensive way.
Tricelle Sobers, Guyana Times.
Afternoon. President Ali, specifically outside of the agenda for today's press conference, is Guyana concerned about the escalating situation between U.S. and Venezuela offshore and the recent threats from Venezuela's defense minister aimed directly at Guyana? And the comment I'm specifically referring to is him stating that if any attacks are made from our territory, we will receive a response and it will be legitimate defense.
Let me say, I have heard a lot of statements out of Venezuela, some directed to me and our country. But let me say very clearly that our sovereignty is our sovereignty. And what we do in relation to our sovereignty is our business. Having said that, I want to make it very clear that our priority as a government and as a people is to ensure this region remains a zone of peace, to ensure that our region remains a zone of peace. Whilst our priority is to ensure that this region remains a zone of peace, we are also conscious of the impact of transnational crime, drug trafficking, and other forms of illicit activities, and the impact it can have on our people, the region, and our economy here and the region. So we have made it very clear that together as a region, and we said this before, we had a number of meetings in CARICOM. We had meetings with the US in which we emphasized the importance of fighting transnational crime and forming a coalition to target transnational crime. So those are the comments I would like to make.
Newsroom, Gordon Mosley.
News Source. News Source, Gordon Mosley. Mr. President, good afternoon, sir. Following up on the question there from Guyana Times, just yesterday the U.S. President announced another strike on suspected drug traffickers in the region, and there is growing international concern about the legality of these strikes, killing the suspected traffickers as against arresting them. Is that a concern you have right now?
We are continuously concerned about criminals using international waters or countries' exclusive economic zone in destroying economies, destroying countries, destroying people. For a matter of fact, we have raised an alert about the overflights over Guyana of suspected narco traffickers and drug planes, and their overflight over Guyana. And we have been talking to our partners and to help support us in terms of our air surveillance and tracking system, because we don't want our territory to be used. We don't want our land or sea to be used by any criminal network. So that is of concern to me, and we have a duty and a responsibility to make the necessary investment to secure our borders, to secure our people, and to secure this region, and also to contribute to every effort that will see our region remain a zone of peace.
So you're supportive of the airstrikes? That's what I'm trying to ask.
I've said what I had to say on the matter.
Gordon, I think you've had your answer. Saskia Warren.
Good afternoon.
And this will be the last question. So make it a good one.
Just shifting back your attention to today's agenda, Mr. President, you spoke about creating mega farms and positioning Guyana as a regional food hub. What role will small and medium-scale farmers play, ensuring that they're not left behind in the drive for large-scale agribusinesses?
Well, SMEs have an important role to play in agro-processing. That is why we are now working with those who have the technology, the investment, to work in with a co-investment model with our local SMEs to ensure that we maximize the potential of our SMEs while giving them the fastest track in technology, in financing, in technical support to build their businesses and be part of this transformation. So we have to face the reality, the scale of what we want to achieve. We don't have the technology. We don't have I would say, the years of experience in advancing that at the pace at which we want to advance it. So we can either sit back and wait forever, or we can go and get those who have the technology, those who have done it and done it successfully, to come on board with us together so that we reduce the lag time and advance the opportunity in a more rapid way. And I think that is the best approach, and that is why the private sector is involved in this. You heard me say, we'll have the private sector, the agricultural sector, the farmers, everybody involved in this. Together we'll be making this decision because we want this to work and work in the interest of Guyanese. So the opportunities must be for Guyanese, but we have to understand that we're in a global environment. There are those who have done this and done it successfully already, and we can really reduce the time that we can graduate where they are by bringing them on board with us, and that is what we want to accomplish. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Lord?
When we stand as one, mighty like Mount Uriah, for Guyana.